Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to BD Views. I am Mursaleen Siddiqui. In the bustling tea stalls of Dhaka and the trending hashtags of Bangladeshi social media, one thing is strikingly absent: the Awami League. For 15 years, this party was the sun around which the entire nation revolved. Today, it has become a ghost in its own home. As Bangladesh marches toward the February 12 general election, the political landscape has shifted so fundamentally that the once mighty fascist Awami League is no longer a topic of serious debate among the electorate. The figures are telling. Since the student-led uprising in August 2024, the party's presence has evaporated from the public square. Its leaders are either in hiding, facing trial, or in exile. While Indian media outlets recently gave significant airtime to an audio addressed by the ousted leader Sheikh Hasina, the reaction within Bangladesh was telling, not for its anger, but for its indifference. For the average Bangladeshi voter, Hasina's rhetoric from a safe haven in New Delhi feels like a transmission from a different century. Analysts point out that the process of irrelevance started long before the ban on the party's registration in May 2025. It began when the party lost its connections to the aspirations of the youth. Now, with the election machinery in full swing, the political discourse is dominated by the BNP, the Jamaat-e-Islami coalition, and new student-led movements. The Awami League isn't just out of power, it is increasingly out of the national conversation. On January 23, 2026, Sheikh Hasina broke her long silence. From the Foreign Correspondents' Club in New Delhi, her voice was broadcast to a room full of loyalists and foreign journalists. She used every fiery adjective in her arsenal, calling the interim government murderous fascists and foreign-serving puppets. She laid out 5 demands, ranging from the removal of Muhammad Yunus to UN investigations. But back in Dhaka, these words landed with a thud. While over 100,000 people may have clicked on the live stream out of curiosity, there were no mass protests in her favor. Instead, the real news was the Bangladesh government's sharp rebuke. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs expressed shock and surprise that a fugitive convicted of crimes against humanity by the International Crimes Tribunal was allowed a platform on Indian soil. This reaction highlights a crucial shift. The only time the Awami League makes headlines now is when the current government reacts to them. The public isn't discussing Hasina's vision for the future. They're discussing how India's hosting of her might seriously impair bilateral relations. The people of Bangladesh have moved on to discussing economic reforms and the logistics of the upcoming vote. Hasina's speech wasn't a rallying cry. It was a reminder of why she was ousted in the first place. The irrelevance of the Awami League is deeply tied to the shadow of the 2024 uprising. In November 2025, a Dhaka court sentenced Sheikh Hasina to death in absentia. The charges were heavy: incitement to murder and failure to prevent the atrocities that claimed over 1,400 lives. For the millions of Gen Z voters who will decide the next leader, the Awami League is synonymous with the Jalai massacre, not the liberation war heritage it long claimed. The interim government's decision to ban the party under the Anti-Terrorism Act was a move many saw as timely and necessary. Without a presence on the ballot, and with its top tier of leadership facing grave legal consequences, the party has no mechanism to engage with the public. Even its digital footprint has been curtailed. What remains is a vacuum that is being rapidly filled by a new political arrangement. Experts suggest that the party's attempt to project a refined version of itself, led by figures with clean images, has failed to gain any traction. The Hadi effect, a shift toward a culture grounded in local and religious values rather than the secular nationalism promoted by the League, has captured the imagination of the majority. The Awami League's hegemonic control over media and academia has been dismantled, leaving the party without a megaphone to reach a disillusioned public. As we approach the February 12 polls, the question isn't whether the Awami League will win, but whether it can ever return. Most political analysts believe the current trajectory leads to permanent irrelevance. The electoral alliance of the National Citizen Party with other major groups shows a nation looking for a democratic reset. The BNP is currently the favorite, enjoying a support base that the Awami League can no longer compete with. The upcoming election is being framed as a referendum on the July Charter, a vote to ensure that the authoritarian model of the last 15 years never returns. By excluding the Awami League, the interim government and student leaders are attempting to break the cycle of revenge politics. They argue that a party responsible for such widespread human rights violations must undergo a purification of truth before it can ever be considered a legitimate political actor again. The Awami League's descent into irrelevance is not just a result of a legal ban or an exile's silence. It is a fundamental rejection by a society that has outgrown its old narratives. Sheikh Hasina may continue to speak from Delhi, and Indian media may continue to broadcast her. But in the tea stalls and polling stations of Bangladesh, the silence is final. The era of the Awami League has not just paused, it has effectively ended. The Awami League's descent into irrelevance is more than just a political shift. It is a national rejection. As Bangladesh prepares for a new democratic chapter, Sheikh Hasina's distant echoes find no home. The people have traded a decade of fear for a future where one party no longer defines the nation. That's all for today. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep watching BD Views. If you find our reports insightful, please subscribe to our channel. Allah Hafiz.